here.
All right, so welcome everyone. If
Hi, how are
you're
you?
joining later. This is Bella's house. Like we will keep on doing the live. So for today, there are two guests here. So first one is me, Dr. Michelle, and then she is a new face for everyone. So
I'm Dr. Clara.
all right. So today, two of us were going to share some of our experience about the PMS, like the most concerned women's issue with you guys. So feel free to leave us some comments or some questions if you feel like a little bit confused. Like we will try our best to answer it. And meanwhile, we also have prepared some contents to share with you. Like we will be sharing some knowledge and from a more like Chinese medicine perspective, and we're also like going to share some of our true experience with our clients. All right, so let's start.
Yeah, so like a little bit background. So both of us are registered as TCM doctors, and then like both of us do have a lot of clients that just come to us for women or menstrual related issues. So like hopefully the following like half an hour or an hour will be valuable to you too.
All right, so first of all, let's just share some like very basic knowledge about PMS. So first of all, what would be those very common PMS symptoms?
Yeah, so technically there will be a physical side and an emotional side of it. On physical side, the most common probably you will be aware is like this abdominal pain or back pain that is like almost like 75% of the women at one point of time has experienced, but it's go much beyond that. Some people will experience joint or muscle pain, headaches, fatigue. Some of them will also have weight gain due to the water retentions, digestive issues like bloating, constipations, or diarrhea, change of your bowel movement pattern. And another very uncomfortable symptom is like somebody will experience like the a tender breast, so that like it's also a type of pain that they're going through, and some people will come to us and really have a concern on the outbreak or the flare of the acne on the face, or some sensitive skin symptoms. So technically, if it's just like physical side is about that, but there is also an emotional side of it.
Yeah, so like I would guess like most of us like women will experience this like lost control of your emotions, like especially before the period. So from emotional side, like could be some like tension or increasing in the anxiety, and you may also feel quite like irritability or like kind of excessive anger, which you don't really find any cause. Like it's just easier to be triggered with the anger. And also some people may go in like another direction into kind of like very down and loss of all the motivation, like even prone to a little bit depressive. And also like you may notice some people will experience like they lose a lot of like concentration. You may find this very hard to concentrate at works. Like these symptoms are related to the emotional side.
And within my clientele, they also may come to me to for a change of sleeping quality, because like before the menstrual cycles, they may find that it's harder for them to fall asleep, or there's a depreciations of or the compromise of their sleeping quality, and in general, some type of like or some levels of PMS is acceptable because it's like meant to be, but around 20% of the 20 to 30% of the people who have PMS is actually experience pretty severe symptoms, and it start to cut into the quality of life, and that's why we have to deal with it properly.
So speaking of like we introduced some of the common symptoms of PMS, so Clara, would you share with us like what exactly the cause
right?
of the PMS,
Yeah,
right?
so
Why?
yeah, so I thought that like from the modern medicine's point of view, this mainly contribute by the hormone imbalances or the change of your hormones, the women's hormones, within the menstrual cycle. So there's 4 phases in the whole menstrual, right? So like a lot of the PMS is actually happening in the last phase, which is the luteal phase, which means that after your ovulations, you will start to find the hormone imbalance start to cut into your physical or emotional side of it. And we'll talk a little bit more in details or explain a little bit more when Michelle later on share with us the yin yang balance and why this happened. But then the emotional side normally is the explanations from the modern medicines. It's like there's a change of serotonin or the level of serotonin during your menstrual cycle. And so that's why part of the reason of the rise and fall of serotonin in your brain will contribute to your mood swings and a lot of the emotional side of the problem. But apart from the modern medicine side, we also want to share with you what TCM's view of it. So maybe Michelle can help us on that.
Yeah, so actually from the TCM perspective, like we're always talking about the movement of yin and yang, which I will go into more details later on. So beyond this movement, because actually yin and yang, they move in certain waves, but they're in different directions. So this movements, actually they're very natural movements. But if like your body, it already has certain, for example, some deficiency with qi and blood, or there's like some blockage, we will call it like blood stasis, like this kind of issue inside of your body, or some of time maybe your body like easier to trap some of the, we call it some of like pathogen like dampness or some coldness inside. So it will be easier to show up during this phase, like the premenstrual phase, so causing those different kinds of symptoms. So it's definitely related with, first of all, your body type, and also how your body react to the like external factors. Yeah.
Another thing is that we want to let the group know is that if you have very severe like PMS, it's also a reflection of you have some imbalance within your body. You know, because if your the yin and yang of your body is balanced, you're pretty healthy. You may still have PMS, but the levels of PMS should be pretty moderate or mild. So if you find something is really disturbing, it's worthwhile to deal with it, not just because of the discomfort, but also because like it's an indication of your internal imbalance. So it's better deal with it before anything more serious happened.
Yeah, I think this point is quite important because I always heard from some of my friends or even some of my clients, they still have this kind of a little bit misunderstanding. They were thinking like, okay, PMS is common, everyone has it.
It's meant to be.
Yeah, it's meant to be. Like I'm just meant to be have a very like emotional like status before the menstruation. I'm meant to be have the cramps. But actually the truth is just like we already like experienced like even though like 75% of us like will experience PMS, but if our body is very balanced, the level of that should be like very bearable, and you like causing nothing like a severe influence on your daily life. So if it's already run into like you feel it's quite bothering you, which means they're already kind of very severe. So actually it's the stage like we have something to do. Yeah.
So maybe like we can talk a little bit more on a little bit of the most common symptoms that you will experience in PMS, right? I think a lot of complaint is coming, at least in our clinical practice, a lot of complaint is coming from pain-related symptoms. Right. So like the most common pain is coming from the abdominal pain, but there's also like headaches or back pain. It's like I think it's the top 3 most common pain syndromes that PMS, people complaining about PMS is experiencing. So I want to like look at it from a more TCM point of view. Despite hormone change and all that is still at the background, but from TCM point of view, when we look at pain, we have a very direct and straightforward categorizations. Like technically, there's only two reasons why you can have pain. Disregard what type of pain it is. One is like from blockage, and normally the blockages come from the some interrupt flow of T and blood. And the other, and then on the second type of pain is actually coming from a lack of nourishment on the tissues, which is like normally coming from deficiency or like suboptimal blood profile or lack of energies in certain visceral system like kidney system or liver system. So as a rule of thumb, if the pain that caused by, if you're experiencing pain that caused by blockage, normally is more sharp and intense. If you're experiencing milder or more chronic pain, normally is coming from some sort of deficiency. So it applies to almost general to everything. You know, so like as we just mentioned, there's three types of pain that people complain around PMS. So like abdominal pain is one of the highest percentage of people coming to the top complaint, right? So the most of people experience pain on the first day of menstruations, and it's actually quite normal because like there are certain hormones that are being secreted by our body to help our uterus to contract so that like we can secrete the lining out and start the menstrual cycle. So like this is actually not a disease. It's just like we have to go through that phase so that we can start the mens, right? So however, the if the pain you experience is a little bit more intense or is a little bit long and start to affect your daily life, then technically you should pay more attention to it. As I said, if it's a dull ache pain, normally it's from deficiency, and normally it's from blood deficiency or energy deficiency. And if like it happens to be a sharp pain, then most probably it's due to some blockage, and the blockage can be something like a blood clot in your uterus. It can be any blockage that happens in the reproductive system or the abdominal area, and the blockage can also due to some medical conditions. The most common one can be like endometriosis, or there's some fibroids in the uterus, or there may be just an inflammations in your abdominal area, like PID. So pain is a sign. So we have to get to the bottom of it and find out that if the pain is secondary to medical conditions, or it's just your weakness or your blockage. So that's normally, if it starts to bothering you, that is like normally you should seek proper help.
So Dr. Clara just shared about how we understand the cramps of abdominal pain during the PMS. So what about the lower back and also the headache?
Yeah. So for the lower back is normally we will relate it to the deficiency of the kidney system, because like this is where kidney meridian is going through, and also what kidney is related to, situated at, and a lot of weakness or a lot of pain is actually coming from kidney related issues. If it's like, of course, like if it's just a very mellow pain, probably it's also from uterus contractions and just radiating out, and you don't have to be taken too serious. As for headache is more related to most of the headache, disregarding whether it's happening in PMS, is mostly related to our liver system, because and a lot of them is caused by T stagnations or the rise of the liver T very quickly up to your head, and or there's some blockage in the meridian, or blood status is in the meridian, so that you will experience the hurt on the head. So why is it happen mostly around the menstrual like time is like a little bit related to what Dr. Michelle is going to share with us, is the yin-yang balance. You know, the change of yin and yang through the cycles and definitely has a direct impact on why certain symptoms happening just before menstrual.
So actually, the yin and yang movement, I would say it's a quite easier to understand than talking about this like hormonal change, because there's so many terms of different hormones. But if we just view it from yin and yang perspective, it will be much easier to understand. So speaking of yin and yang, so I'd like to explain a little bit first. So yang usually stands for those warm and energetic energy, and instead of the yin support represent for nourishment and cooling energy. So they're kind of like the different sides. Okay, so I'm also like to show you this picture. So I'm actually keep on talking about this figure because every time when I share about something related to women's health, I need to talk about this figure. Otherwise, it's quite hard for us to understand. So you can see the pink one actually is representing our yang energy, and the black one is represent for the yin energy. All right, and the start point actually is the day one of the period. So you will see actually at the day one, the yin energy actually is at the toppest level, whereas the yang actually is at the lowest, right? And since the period, like day one, day two, until the middle point is ovulation, so they kind of like move into like the most extreme stage. So you will see the yang coming to the toppest, whereas the yin drops down to the lowest. And after ovulation, this switch again. So you will see the yin energy start to coming up, and then the yang energy start to drop. So like when we're talking about the PMS, so the most important is this phase from ovulation like to your period, right? So which we call it pre-menstruation phase. So you will see actually through this phase, the yin and yang movement is like your yin energy is gradually coming up and the yang energy gradually dropping. So why this is very important. So normally this movement, it happens for everyone, all right? But so normally, like we already talked about it, if your body is very balanced, you won't like feel a lot of these movements. But if you already, for example, have certain deficiency, especially deficiency in yang energy or yin energy or the qi and blood, so you may feel more because this movement, it actually causes much bigger impact on your body. So that's why you will have like more severe PMS issues. So understanding this movement actually quite helpful. Like you may immediately resonate why you're feeling so tired before the period, because like like I said, the yang energy is supporting your energetic side, right? So the yang energy actually is dropping before the period. So normally we may feel mild fatigue or a little bit tiredness is fine, but if the tiredness or the fatigue is extremely strong, it's definitely showing that your body itself actually have certain level of yang deficiency. Yeah.
Okay, so like technically now we have a little bit understanding on how we see the change of yin and yang affected the PMS, and so maybe we can share some actual like
True
clinical
story.
case, a true story on how this is actually how we approach it, and also like and what type of PMS that this actually happened and how it related to the yin yang change, right? So maybe Michelle, you can share a story with us.
Okay. So I'm sharing one of my clients. Okay, so her symptoms are more related with the fatigue, just like I mentioned. Like she would start to feel extremely tired after the ovulation, usually very accurate like on each side, because she actually had a very regular cycle, so she will kind of like count her cycle through like day 1 to day 30. So she would know after the ovulation, like she will like immediately feel the tiredness until the day 1 of the menstruation, which is the worst day. Okay, so which means she actually keep on suffering from this fatigue for at least 14 days. So actually it's already quite long, and definitely cause a lot of impact on her daily life. And besides this, she used to have a very strong cramps during like before the period, and also the first couple of days of the menstruation. So and also, like we also mentioned about, usually this kind of severe PMS definitely relate with the body type. So for her, like I would say her body actually is quite prone to the cold one, which means already have certain yang deficiency. Like she will easily to feel kind of like susceptible to cold weather, even a little bit like some windy thing. She will already know and very sensitive to that. So usually afraid of cold is definitely a sign like your body may be a little bit lack of the yang energy, which is the warm energy. So we're trying to actually for this kind of situation, usually we would suggest to do a combination from like acupuncture treatment with herbal medicine as well, because to treating deficiency, herbal medicine actually works more efficient than just acupuncture. But for her case, she finds it quite hard to take Chinese medicine. Okay, so we just trying to do with more like acupuncture plus moxibustion. So this one maybe not so common with you guys, so I like to explain what is moxibustion. So moxibustion is also very ancient technique from Chinese medicine. Actually, it's always aligned with acupuncture, but it's less like known by people. So the technique is like we use the herb, we call it warm herbs. So we make into some like a stick, or we have different technology to make into different shape of that. So we will kind of lit up this kind of herbs, and we make use of the heat generated by this herb to support our yang energy. So this treatment is very common to help like especially yang deficiency related symptoms, not just PMS, anything else. So and it's also quite good for adjusting the energy movement. So we start with moxibustion with acupuncture, kind of like weekly like frequency, and through I would say just 1 month of the treatment, she already start to have less painful menstruation, because definitely the treatments works on her energy, and then helping her to gain more yang energy, so her cramps level drop down. So through our treatments, like she will like kind of like changing from a very severe level to a totally manageable level. Yeah.
So like probably like what Michelle share about is like on the deficiency syndromes case of PMS. So like following, I would like to share another case is also like pain related, but very sharp pain related, and it's basically the clients come to see me for fertility support, and she's just been diagnosed of PCOS, and also like a blockage in the fallopian tube, and one on each side. So technically she is residing the fact that she won't be able to have a natural born baby. So she's planning for her IVF, and but before that she go on that process, she want to make sure that her body is intact, and also the lining is okay. She is preparing for the IVF, and also like hopefully she can improve her body constitution so that like she has a proper ovulations each month. So actually she's come primarily for preparing for IVF, but then we still treat her as like like a PMS type of or menstrual regulations clients. She also has a big problem. It's because like after she knows that she has PCOS, she receives some Western medicine treatment. But after that treatment, she has intense menstrual pain or premenstrual pain throughout every time or every cycle of menstruations. So she's a Japanese, so she's a very disciplined person. So like,
Yeah.
considering her intensity and also like her intention of having a baby, I have proposed like use of both herbal medicines and also a weekly acupuncture and moxibustions like treatment. So like she decided that she wanted to have herbal medicines every day because like she's so determined to have a baby. So how we dealt with it is apart from moxibustions and acupunctures, just trying to unblock. At the meantime, we also use herbal medicines to enhance her blood profile and also like to chase away the blood statuses or the blood clots in the body. So because anything that's blocked will, as I said, like sharp pain is come from blockage, right? So you have to remove the blockage first. The blockage, there's two possibilities. One is coming from flame and one is coming from the blood clot. So like in our herbal medicines, we dealt with both so that to let her resume a better flow of blood and energies and remove of the excess moistures inside her reproductive system. So after around 3 months, she actually, her menstrual pain is almost totally gone. And she has, so like, it gives her a lot of confidence that she continues to work on her fertility side of it. And it's almost like a miracle because like she planned on IVF, but because like she has to move back to Japan, she won't do it in Hong Kong. So I have like around a 3 months window to work on his natural fertility. And actually she's naturally conceived on the second month. So and she's also so lucky that she has 12 weeks with me before she moved back to Japan, and we'll continue to do the moderations through acupunctures. And the baby was born last year. So like I think it's the most successful case I have ever experienced in fertility enhancement because like it's go much beyond our expectations. But I just want to reflect on what Michelle has talked about. There are some cases that probably you can get moderations and also get some result just through moxibustions and acupunctures. But herbal medicine, definitely in most of the cases, herbal medicines do help, especially on enhancing the blood profile or removing the blockage or increasing the yang energies. Like herbal medicine play a very important role too, not just like acupuncture and moxibustions.
Yeah, because like I always like explain to my clients as well because I also feel some of people quite hesitate about like using herbs, right? And could be related with like the bad taste or other concern. But to be honest, like the effects of herbal medicine can't be fully replaced by acupuncture or moxibustion.
In some cases, we can replace maybe 70% or something like that. We use moxa with herbal medicines in there too. So technically we can still do something, but then like it's not the most efficient result. And a lot of people thought that when you take herbal medicine, you have to take it for a very long time. The reality is like we normally is like encourage people to do it regularly until they reach a certain standard, and then like we will tone down on the frequency of like using herbal medicines because we also don't want you to just rely on the herbal medicines to regulate your symptoms. So but normally for PMS or menstrual pain or some other woman disease related issues, I think 3 months probably is the time that the minimal time that you get to work with us on the herbal, right?
So because we just speak of the herbal medicine, so I also like to take the chance to kind of like explain some people's concern about the safety of the herbal medicine because I definitely know there's like some news talking about like herbal medicine can cause some like damage to your liver function, to your kidney function, which I think quite brings up the hesitation for some people. Even they quite interested about it, but they were just like afraid of the safety. So I think it's quite important, like to use herbs under like registered Chinese medicine practitioner, like because what we do is like we keep on monitor how the herbs works on you. And to talking about toxicity, we can never leave the amount, the duration of that. So definitely some herbs, they have some toxicity, but if we are using them properly, it's safe. So the problem is like whether like the herbal medicines being used like properly under observation and under monitoring. It's very important. So I also kind of like take the chance to explain it because for our practice, we'll always like observe how your body react to the treatment, and we will also do a lot of amendments, adjustments of the herbs. Like even some people, they don't really understand what inside, but actually we will keep on do some adjustment just to make sure that your body is like get along with the herbs. Yeah. So just like explain a little bit more about the safety issue. Yeah.
So like probably we can answer some of the, it's over almost like 30 minutes, so we can answer a couple of questions that you guys posed. From Nara, she is asking like, how is PMS related to my stress? Yeah, it's a very very good question. First of all, it definitely has a very closely related, close relationships between your work stress or life stress and your PMS symptoms, or the severity of the PMS symptoms. I think when we go back to our visceral system, like the menstrual blood is actually kind of controlled by our liver system, and it so happened that your stress levels is also closely related to your liver functioning. So like we always thought that like excessive stress or like a change of emotion or drastic change of emotions will sort of like block or affect the natural flow of the liver T, so, or it causes liver T stagnations. So any of those can result in some sort of PMS. For example, if you have sudden rise of your T from your liver, that will cause your during that period of time, then you will have a headache. Or like if you have too much emotional stress and cause stagnations, then you will also increase your irritabilities, your depressions, or your emotional outbursts or mood swing. So since the liver meridians also go through your breast, so like the T stagnations or your stress will also indirectly cause your breast tenderness, which is like also a very common like PMS that experienced by city girls.
All right. So
and I just want to follow through is like in our clinical practices, that's how we dealt with it. Like if our diagnosis and your self-diagnosis both point the fingers to you're too stressful, that's why what is the main cause of your PMS. We have a lot of modality to help you to solve the problem. So the modalities include use herbal medicines to de-stress, or we use a lot of acupunctures to do de-stress too. Use acupuncture ways are very, very functional, like and very powerful on how getting your emotional balance back. And for me, in my own practice, I also use sound healings to get you into the calmer mode, and also like rebalance your stress. So so technically, there's a lot of different modalities that we can use to help you. And even if you cannot stand acupuncture, we can use other modality.
Yeah. All right. So the next question is asked by Clary Chu. She asked about, can I prevent PMS? It's been bad these days. Okay. So very sorry for you. Kind of like can hear from you like you're like suffering from the, I would say, quite severe of the PMS symptoms. So, but you're actually asking a very important question about the prevention. So actually in Chinese medicine, prevention is a very important part of our practice. Like we're always talking about if we can do something earlier, so you won't suffer a lot. So that's how prevention becomes so important. And speaking of the PMS, just like we've already shared about this, like there are different causes, like especially relate to body types. So it can be different ways. So some of them, like we will like trying to start some treatments before the luteal phase, like because we already knew like you're suffering from this symptoms, so we would suggest to start treatment before that, like this already kind of like prevention. So for your own practice, it's definitely depends on how the symptoms or how your body types relate to the symptoms, so we can give you more like specific suggestions on the prevention. Yeah.
So yeah, so actually the essence what Michelle is talking about is that like it's about a body constitution change, and it's also about like what is your deficiency or what is your excess, so we can rebalance it, right? Like so it definitely can be prevented. At least we can moderate it so that it's not that severe. But then it has very personalized, right? Like it depends on like what your actual condition is. And there's another questions coming from who's that? Is that?
We lost
Yeah. So
it's
it's
okay.
like anyway, the question is that I have acne bumps before my menstruations. Is it related to PMS? And I never get rid of it. How TCM can help, right? So it's a very complete question. So from a Western medicine point of view, the hormone fluctuations throughout your menstrual cycle will definitely give you can be a possible cause of your acne, because the estrogens and progesterone's level drop right before like the M start. So this can triggers your skin to secrete more oil, like and also like and too much can result in clot of your pores and cause breakout. But apart from this, Dr. Michelle will also explain or shed some light on how the change of yin and yang also cause the outbreak of acne and how it can be prevented.
Yeah, so just like I explained earlier about the yin and yang movement before the period, so you've already remember like before the period, actually the yin energy is coming up and the yang energy is gradually drop, right? So speaking of yin and yang, I need to talk about another feature of these two energy. We also have certain understanding like the yang energy actually is a clear energy. We'll call it like clear yang in like just Chinese, which means it contains certain energy to clear out of the drowsiness, make your mind is very clear. So we call it this kind of, they have certain this feature, which means if the yang energy is strong enough to circulate in your body, to go ups and downs, so you should have a very clear mind with your clear brain function, like without any drowsiness. And on the contrary, the yin energy will also feels like the energy contains certain of like another power, because they need to have the power to drag down of some of our like blood or anything other elements inside of your body. So it sometimes may cause may also contains, for example, some people if they're already have like a little bit indeficiency of their body, so they will also easier to generate some inner heat inside. So when the menstruation coming like before the period, so the yin start to like climbing up, so they were also taking brings up this kind of heat with it. So which means this kind of a heat will more go up, showing up like on your face. So this could be another like explanation on why before the period some people may have some breakouts with the agony. So and it continues on each month. Like it's coming up, and after the period, it's just like fading out, and then another cycle begins again. So it's definitely related with the yin and yang shift.
So how can we prevent it? Is it a way that we can treat it?
So actually, most of the time, like we are like, for my experience, I always like use herbal medicine, because if I detect some of the sign of like the yin deficiency, especially already have certain like inner heat inside, so I will use some herbs to calm down of this kind of heat, to make the balance of the yin and yang. So you, even though the yin coming up, they won't carry this kind of heat aligning with it. Yeah.
And also, like when this yin yang is out of balance, it normally won't just show up as one symptoms. So we can also like it's just like the other symptom may show up and you are not that concerned about it because it's not on your face, right?
Yeah.
So as we mentioned in the beginning of the life, it's like there are things that say you better rebalance it when it haven't caused a severe problem, right? So like any things that give you an indication there's an imbalance inside is like the best way is to deal with it, so that we can actually practice a preventive mode of medicine. So like not wait till there's a severe disease related or medical condition related symptoms comes out. So we will encourage you to address the situations if you really feel that it starts bothering you.
Yeah. All right. So I noticed we've got a question. Actually, it's from Judy. Here.
Yeah.
So she asked, talking about prevention, is there any suggestion for teenagers to prepare their body for the first period, that they will have a smooth period from the very beginning?
Well, first of all, like I do treat quite a bit of clients that have a unstable menstrual cycle between the first menstrual to around like 16 or 17 years old. It's very common in Hong Kong these days because like the kids has a lot of stress. It's much higher than what we would imagine. I don't think when I was a teenager I have that much stress in comparing to these generations. But for some reasons they do have a lot of stress, right? And then and also like another reason, like in my actual clinical practice, apart from stress, is the blood deficiency. They just don't have a very good blood profile, suboptimal. You may not have an anemia when you go and have a blood test, but then like definitely there's either the blood flow is not optimal, or your either through your nutrition or the way that you eat or the things you eat, it's not like you have enough blood in your body. It sounds very weird, but that is a lot very common situations. So so either way will affect your regular develop of a good regular menstrual cycle. So when we want to prep the kids to have more stable menstrual cycles earlier, like not start off earlier, but then like stabilize it earlier, then probably this is the two areas that we need to work on. I normally treat with very mellow medicines. Like I would start with blood enhancing first, like probably just use some very basic formulas like white pectin. You ask them to take it like in a very minimal dosage, and just to make sure that blood flow and everything is okay. And the blood enhancement. Normally it would then do the job already, like but if they also have a very stressful life, then probably we have to add different modalities to help them to release their stress, so that they can start to regulate the menstrual cycle. Normally we won't consider menstrual cycle start to be stable until probably it's stable for a couple of months at least, right? Like so otherwise it cannot be, it can still have fluctuations, and it's more common than you think. Anything that you want to add on?
I just because we also mentioned about the body type.
Yes.
So it's definitely also related with what we want to do with prevention, because if the teenager hasn't had their like first period, so all the signs may relate to like their body types. So if really like speaking of prevention, because when we're talking about body types, we were also talking about the lifestyle, because the lifestyle actually matters more than any other treatments to your body. So I think there's another like direction. So we will also suggest like to kind of like know better about how's your body condition, like what is your body type, and so can do some adjustment with the lifestyle. Like, so most common we will like
minimize your cold drink.
Yeah, yeah, like this.
Don't drink Coca-Cola.
Yeah. So why this one very important? Because which sometimes I feel like it's already like a joke. Like everyone like talking about Chinese. Okay, cut off cold drinks, like kind of like a joke. But still, it's very important. Like it's not a joke. Because I also like to explain why the cold drinks like cause so much damage to your body. So you can imagine our body temperature is around 35, 36 Celsius degrees, right? So the cold thing, especially with the iced one, so their temperature can be very low from your body temperature. So once this kind of cold things or the raw foods go inside of your body into your stomach need to start with the digestion, right? So they need excessive energy to work on this discrepancy of the temperature. And we're always talking about your digestive system, especially your stomach, your spleen. They need warm energy. They are quite afraid of the cold because the coldness will definitely cause some damage to their function. So that's why the cold things always is like our like toughest concern. So like and also for like some of the cases, like their cramps or their pain are related with the blockage caused by the coldness actually. So that's why what we are like always talking about, you need to avoid of cold drinks, especially before period and also during the period. That's the reason. Yeah.
If you've been following us and also listening to my life or Dr. Michelle's life, you've been hearing this over and over again. And plus, it's not just cold drink. It's also like
the raw food.
Yeah, the raw food, herb in cold natures. Like for a lot of people, it's especially not that much the young kids, but then throughout the if your body constitution don't allow this, don't drink too much herbal tea that's in cold natures, 五花茶 or or 金文花, like
24味.
and then also like raw food including not just salad but sushi. So it's like pretty raw food has a different constitutions like in affecting your body. And also like if you need to eat more vegetarian type of food, like just consider more on, say, I just talked to Michelle this morning, it's like if you want salad, go for grilled root salad. Like instead of leafy salad that have like it's just empty nutritions, like, and also like bring the coldness into your digestive system. So there are people that can do all that if your body constitution is not on the cold side or the yang deficiency side. Like it's not like Michelle can do it doesn't mean that I can do it. So you have to understand your body constitutions, and if there's anything that as a parent or can do for your kids, is like to let them understand what the nutrition requirements to keep them healthy in long terms. So yeah.
Okay, so Judy just asked another one. Any food suggestion for enhancing the blood? Immediately pop up with the right dates.
Okay. Okay. So
and actually Longan is also
Yeah. I think I normally when my clients ask me that questions, I normally will give a more high level answers. Like you get to look at like because in TCM different colors nourish different like systems, right? So like if you really want to enhance your blood, there's a couple of things you need to remember. It's like you want to eat food or fruit or vegetables of red colors and black colors. And black colors includes dark purples. So like for example, just such as a couple of examples. So like what are those? Like cherries is red, right? Cherry is very blood enhancing.
Oh yeah.
Red day is red, right? So it's very blood enhancing. Black day is very blood enhancing. And also like fig is very blood enhancing. Beetroot is very blood enhancing.
Or dark red, those kind of
yeah, definitely. And then like and there's also like special food that just like the one that Dr. Michelle is like just talking about, like dry longan, like is very blood enhancing. But that is the superfood for blood, right? So like, but then in general, just look at the colors. You need to remember it, right? Like it's like otherwise it's very hard to remember different type of product. But then if you remember it by colors, normally it will be much easier.
And talking about the food suggestion, like we always need to have another kind of like reminder. It's like, because if you only look for certain features of the foods, you only take that, it definitely will cause some imbalance because it's go into a certain extreme. So that's why we're always talking about the balance of the foods as well. So actually, I always find it very hard to answer this type of question because the clients, they just want some certain suggestion, right? But the problem is, if you only eat those foods, you may get because you may get like excessive heat because this type of foods in their feature they contain more warm energy. That's why they can enhancing the blood. But the real practice, like we still need to do some like adjustments with some balance. That's why you may notice there's like different types of recipe for like cooking, or that's why we need something to balance, right?
And also like I think and another thing is like I always encourage our clients because we have clients of different ethnic backgrounds, right? So the most nourishing food are your home cooking. What do we mean? It's like because like a lot of things is ingrained in our DNA. For example, a very simple example is like in China we still have a very big countries, right? So like we always say that like because the southern side we grow rice, so rice is the one that's nourishing us, and in the northern side they eat wheat for thousands and thousands of years. So maybe noodles or anything that is buckwheat related will be more nourishing for people from the north, right? So like it's like whatever that is like ingrained in your DNA is actually is the best food. A lot of people like that's why a lot of disease happen this day is related to a sudden change of diet. For example, the Western diet, we all suddenly just eat hamburger per se. This is not what ingrained in our DNA.
And also nowadays quite trendy of the ketone diet.
Keto
right?
diet.
But actually for
vegetarian, not it's not because of a religious purpose. Like vegetarian diet is very hard to be blood enhancing.
You need to be very concerned about what kinds of foods you're intake.
A lot of knowledge behind it before you can be a good vegetarian, and definitely not for teens. Like if you don't have a strict, if it's due to religions, like we have no choice, right? But if not, it's just don't go for the trendy things. Like a little bit of meat, a little bit of red meat is very crucial to develop a good blood profile. Like no matter which nutritionist you go to or any TCM doctor you go to, I think you get the same answer. So practically just don't give up your home cooked diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So kind of like around an hour. So
I think that's it for today.
yeah, that's it for today.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed this live and can get something from what we've shared about, and also because we will continue to do the live.
So let us know what
Yes.
other topics or any particular topics you want us to go into more in-depth discussions. Like for example, menstrual pain. We still have a lot of things that we haven't been sharing about menstrual pain and how to manage it. If you have any interest, that you just let us know so that we can do it in our next IG.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.